Greetings. What's up, everybody? So this is going to be a recap of the first two CAD classes that me and Manuel have been running. I'm gonna try to get it all covered in under 20 minutes, so let's get to it. So this is Onshape. This is the program that we are swapping to. You just go to onshape.com, you make an account, say that you're a student, and they give it to you for free. It's pretty sick. So once you're at this page, you just click on create and then document, and then I'm gonna name it recap 1. I encourage you to do this alongside just so you can practice. So this is what you're gonna see. This is a blank document. I'm just gonna go over some tools. Right here are your planes. So these are a bunch of reference points that you can use throughout your sketch. This right here is your origin. It's basically 0, 0 on the grid. Up here is your compass. You can click on faces to like snap to them, or you can right click and drag anywhere on your screen to rotate it around. And then a couple other tools. If you hold left click and drag, you can select everything inside that box, and if you hold down middle mouse button, you can pan. And then also if you scroll up or down, you zoom in or out. So we're going to go ahead and create a sketch, and once you click sketch, you have to select your plane. In this case, we're just going to use the front little plane thing. And then I'm going to hit N, which is short for normal view, which basically just snaps to the view of what you are working on. If I were to hit it again, it would flip it around. So I'm just going to go over, you have a whole bunch of tools up here, and I'm just going to go over these really quick. Line is pretty simple. You click, drag, unclick, you make a line. Notice how whenever I make a horizontal line, there's these orange dots in the line. So Onshape does something where it automatically does certain constraints to your sketch. So like if I want to snap to this point of a line, I can do that. And now these two are, it's called a coincidence constraint to each other. Same thing like with the origin, right? So you can just make a bunch of lines. And then everything that is shaded is an enclosed polygon. Pretty simple stuff. And then we have 3 different types of rectangle. A corner rectangle is pretty simple. I'm going to coincidence to my origin, drag out, click again. Then you have a center rectangle, which is pretty much the same thing, except it goes out in all 4 directions at the same time, and it leaves a center reference point. This is useful for if I were to want to, you know, make a bunch of lines like in the center, like cut out a triangle or something like that. And then you have an aligned rectangle where you basically you make your width and then you make your length. Pretty simple. Then you got 2 types of circles that I'm going to cover. You have a center point circle, which works like your center point rectangle. It leaves a circle in the middle. And then you have a 3-point circle, which I don't really use that much, but basically you make 2 points and then you can make your radius from there. It works a little weird, but yeah, there you go. And then I'm going to cover the arc, just the 3-point arc for now, where it works the same as the 3-point circle, where you make your 2 points and then you can control your radius from there. And then you also have this polygon creator where you make your thing, right? And then you can make a bunch of, like, you can determine its sides. So like if I want a triangle or if I want like a hexagon, right? Not sure why it snapped to there, but so yeah, and then you have a bunch of different constraints. So I'm just gonna scroll through them really quick. So coincidence, as I was talking about earlier, let's say I want this point to be on this point. I would click this point that's where I want to move to, and then I would click this point, and it snaps to it. It keeps the same angle, same length, same everything. And like, what if I wanted this angle right here to be 90 degrees? Then I'd use the perpendicular. So I want my reference to be here, and then I want this to be 90 degrees to that. So I just click. Well, perpendicular works backwards. You'll figure it out. It's just a bunch of trial and error. So I'm gonna make another line real quick. Let's say I wanted these 2 lines to be parallel to each other. I would use the parallel constraint. Bonk, just like that, and now they're parallel. and then I'm gonna create a center point circle here. And so let's say I wanted this line to be tangent to this circle. I would click the tangent constraint, use this circle as my reference, and then this line. And now if I extend this line, right, it is now a tangently constrained. So basically this line only intersects this circle on one point. And then we're gonna do the cocentric constraint. So let's say I want two circles to be on the same center point, right? And they're kind of off. So I would use the cocentric. I would use this circle and then this circle. Oh, yeah, there it goes. And now they have the same center point. Horizontal constraint is pretty cool. So you can automatically do this by drawing a line like this, and Onshape will automatically do that. Or let's say I mess it up and I want it to be horizontally constrained. I just click that. And then same thing for vertical. And remember how I made these lines parallel earlier? Now they are still parallel. So that's something that's pretty cool. And that's really all you need for sketch. We're gonna quickly go over dimension. So let's say I want this line to be 2 inches. I click dimension. The shortcut for it is D on your keyboard. You click again, and then let's say I want it to be 2 inches long. Enter. And because of all my previous constraints, like we have a ton of constraints set up, it messes with a bunch of stuff. But yeah, that line is now 2 inches. I can do it again with the radius or the diameter of this circle. Let's say I wanted to be 1.5, and now it's 1.5. So with this knowledge, the homework for the first class was to create a 2x1 box tubing 1/8 inch thickness with all the holes in it. So from here, I'm going to quickly go through that exercise, and you're going to learn a few new things along the way. So I'm going to start with a corner rectangle. I'm going to start on my origin just so it's nicely referenced, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to get rid of show constraints. I'm going to have dimension by pressing D, click, drag up, and then this is a 2 inch, and then dimension again here is going to be 1 inch. Now I have everything I need to create my box, and I just click the check mark to finish sketch. Up here is the extrude tool. You click it, and then you click what you want to extrude, and now it's a box. So because I want it to be 2 feet long, I'm going to do 24 inches. And then I'm just going to do opposite direction just so it's easier to see. And that's all you need to know for that right now. There's a few other tools, but we're going to keep it simple at the moment. So from here, we're going to use something called the shell tool. So there's another way to create our thickness, and that's creating another rectangle in here and only extruding the outer one. But there's an easier way to do it. So typically our goal is to create the simplest sketches and to have the least amount of features in our feature tree over here. So I'm going to use the shell tool because it has a simpler sketch, and it's easier to read and edit in the future. So I click here, and I'm going to create the thickness of 1 divided by 8 because it's 1/8 inch thickness. Onshape will do all the math for you. And if you notice, it doesn't go all the way through yet. So under the faces to remove tab, I just click this one, and so now we are all the way through, and we are done with there. So we are going to check mark that, and boom, now we have our box tubing. Now it just needs all the holes. So in the spirit of keeping everything super simple, we're going to create one more sketch. And remember, we want our sketches to be as simple as possible. So my face for this sketch is actually going to be the top of this box tubing. And I'm going to hit N to go to normal view. If I were to hit it again, it'd flip it around, right? And I'm just going to create a point right here. And I'm going to dimension it out. This point to this edge of the box tubing is going to be 0.5 inches. And then this point to this edge of the box tubing is also going to be 0.5 inches because that's where they're dimensioned in real life. We're trying to recreate the part from real life, and that's all you need for this sketch. So from this point, we can use something called the hole tool. You click it, and then I want to make a hole out of this point, And then it's going to be drill hole. It's already 1/4 inch, which is what we want. Start from part, and we're going to do up to entity. The reason why we don't do something like through all or like blind, I mean, you could do blind in this case because we know what the bottom is, but we're gonna do up to entity because that will be easier for more complicated stuff. So the merge scope, that is going to be like our part, because that's where we want it to start, and then our up to entity is going to be where we want it to end. So that's going to be the bottom of this hole, and we've created our hole, and that is all we need to do there. And so now we're going to learn something called a linear pattern. It is this tool up here. I'm going to click it. I'm going to make sure it's under feature pattern, because if I did part pattern, it would try to replicate the entire part, but we don't want that. We just want a bunch of holes. And then we're going to select this as our feature, our hole. And for the distance, each hole is 0.5 inches apart, and the instance count is going to be 47. And then for our direction, because I want it to go like away from where the camera is, that is on the front plane, and I'm going to click that. And as you can see, it went the wrong way, but luckily Onshape has a opposite direction button. So now that is done. And then we're going to click second direction, and it's going to be again 0.5 inches, and then the instance count is going to be 3. And for our direction, I want it to be going away from the camera, and that's going to be on the right plane. And once it's done thinking, because this is a bit of computing that it now has to do, we should, it might go the wrong way, but we should have our, almost all of our holes completely drilled. Nice. So it did go the wrong way, but luckily we have the opposite direction button. And that's all the holes that we have on the top and the bottom. But we want to make the side holes. The side holes is pretty simple. So we're actually going to create another sketch. And this side of the box tubing is going to be our plane of reference. I'm going to hit N to go to normal view for it. And I'm going to create another point, and I'm going to dimension it from here to here. Is going to be 0.5 inches. And then again, from our point to the top of the box tubing is going to be 0.5 inches. And then that's the entire sketch. Gonna go back to the hole tool, select our point, merge scope, this box, up to entity, make sure our up to entity mate connector, whatever the heck, is going to be the opposite end of the box. That's all you need there. And then we're gonna go back to linear pattern, make sure we are on feature pattern. And then it's going to be 0.5 inches of distance in between the holes, and then our instance count is going to be 47. If you're wondering why it's not 48, so with 48, our last hole would be halfway here, and it would be in real life because these box tubings are normally 4 inches or 4 feet long, but in here, it's just a little example, so we're just going to do 47 so that this is a clean factory edge, quote unquote. And yeah, and for our direction, because I want it to go away from the camera, we're going to use our front plane, and we're going to hit the, oh, I never selected the feature. Yeah, so the feature, it's that hole, it's going the wrong way, click opposite direction, and boom, that's it. It's pretty simple. So this was our day 1 homework. Teaches you linear patterns, the hole tool, you know, how to create simpler sketches, right? Because all 3 of my sketches are incredibly simple. This one's just a rectangle, and these 2 are literally just a point. And then we use our 3-dimensional tools to keep it super simple. But yeah, so that's the entirety of class 1. I'm gonna teach you one more tool real quick, which is going to be the fillet tool. So this basically, instead of these sharp corners, at a radius of 0.2 inches, when I click an edge, it will make it smooth. So it's always useful to CAD these in whenever you want a fillet, just because, you know, it looks nicer, right? It's a pretty simple tool to use, right? So now the entire top is like curved, looks pretty neat. And then last thing I'm going to teach before I give y'all the homework for day 2 is going to be the revolve tool. So I'm going to create another sketch. It's going to be on the front plane, and I'm going to snap to normal view, and we're just going to create another corner rectangle. It's going to be going the other way, and we're going to dimension it at 1 inch. The dimensions don't really matter here, and then we'll do 2 inches again. Why not? And that's all we need for that. And we're going to use the revolve tool. So there's a few fancy things that you can do. I'm just going to give you one example, and I encourage you to use this tool on your own to figure out the other ways that it can be done. But the revolve tool basically takes your sketch, if my roommate's cat would stop interrupting. It takes your sketch and revolves it around a point. So my faces that I want to revolve is going to be this sketch, and my revolve axis, I'm going to revolve around this axis right here and see how it creates a circle. So this is a full revolve, or I can make it a one direction revolve, and I can, you know, change the angle of it, or I can, where the heck is it? I can do a symmetric revolve where it does, you know, 2 angles at the same time. I'm not, yeah, the 2 directions is a little, you know, you're getting a little wicked. But yeah, I encourage you to, you know, play with all these, you know, tools and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep it solid, and yeah. Well, I broke it there at the very end. So yeah, that's pretty much all of day 1. And so your homework for class number 2 is going to be to recad this CAD event day 1. I have already posted this drawing in models. So this will teach you how to read more complicated drawings, and it's a fun little exercise. So keep in mind, so this arrow right here up into this 0.2 diameter times 21, that means all of your holes that look like this are going to be 0.2 inches in diameter, and there are 21 of them, and every single one of their depth is going to be 0.1 inches down. And then same thing here, so this radius 0.10 times 12, that is all of your fillets. The radius of all of your fillets is going to be 0.1 inches, and there are 12 of them. So I encourage all of you to, you know, make this. Our next class is going to be on Friday. If you have any questions, Manuel and I are available most of the time. I'm available anytime after 5:30 every day. But yeah, try it out. Let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, ask. But that's pretty much all we've done. I hope to see y'all in future classes, and yeah, just let me know how it goes. See ya.